Hi friends, welcome back to Faith and Arrow Homestead. My name is Jaylee and I hope you can hear me okay. It's really windy out here and I'm really close to the camera so that you will hopefully be able to pick up on my voice over the wind. But today we're going to talk about herbs and we're going to talk about growing your own herbs, why you should. And this video is going to go a bit beyond just, oh, it's cost effective. And it is. Buying those blister packs of herbs at the store is so expensive. But there's actually a safety reason, a health reason why you should grow your own herbs. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So this information that I'm going to share with you today comes from Consumer Reports, and that is a magazine. You can also get that information online, and I will share the link to this article down in the description so you can read it, because there's a lot more information than what I'm going to share with you today. But Consumer Reports tested 15 different types of herbs, and they did that over 146 different samplings. They took those samples from Great Value, Walmart brand, Penzeys, Spice Islands, Trader Joe's, McCormick, and others. And they were testing them for heavy metals. Roughly 1/3 of the tested products contained high enough levels of arsenic, lead, and cadmium to pose a health concern for children when regularly consumed, and most raised concern for adults as well. For 2 of the herbs, thyme and oregano, all of the tested products had concerning levels of these heavy metals. In 31 of those products, levels of lead were so high that they exceeded the maximum amount anyone should have in a day. Just in case you're wondering why you should care about this, frequent exposure to even small amounts of lead, arsenic, cadmium, and other heavy metals is dangerous, in part because it's difficult for the human body to break them down or excrete them. And over time, exposure to those heavy metals can actually harm health. In children, it can affect brain development, increasing the risk for behavioral problems and lower IQ. And in adults, it can contribute to central nervous system problems, reproductive problems, hypertension, can cause kidney damage, and can damage immune function. Heavy metals can show up in food if the water or soil where food is grown contains them naturally or is contaminated because of pesticides or industrial uses. Heavy metals may also get into food, including herbs and spices, during manufacturing, from processing equipment, or packaging. And so that's the case I'm making for why you should grow your own herbs. And of course, again, like I said, there are many other reasons. You know, it saves you so much money. It's a great starter plant. If you're wanting to get into growing your own food, you can grow herbs on your windowsill. It's a great first thing to grow if you're wanting to get into growing your own food. But I've never heard it mentioned that you should also grow your own herbs because there are alarming amounts of these heavy metals present in the conventionally produced versions of these. The article also went on to say that it's almost impossible to source these responsibly from grocery stores because there are not a lot of rules on labeling. And so something can say packaged in USA, and that's all it'll say, and it won't tell you the origin of where the herb or the spice came from. And it could have been from a bunch of different countries. It could have been a mixture of different products coming from different countries that got mixed together in a manufacturing facility and just got a USA label slapped on it, and you buy it from the grocery store thinking you're making a responsible choice. So it's not very easy to figure out if you are purchasing a safe, clean, good product. There are just not a lot of regulations on this kind of thing. And so the only way that you can be sure that you know what's going into it is by growing it yourself. There are still a couple of factors there that you can't control. You may not be able to control the water that gets used. Obviously, you can't control the rain unless you're growing it in like a high tunnel. And then I just water my garden with the hose, the tap water. I'm not even really sure what's in there. And then also if you bring in soil from elsewhere, you don't know what's in there. So there are still pieces of the puzzle that you can't control. But if you garden organically, you're not going to be bringing in the pesticides and the herbicides. And then you're not going to have to worry about heavy metals getting in through your packaging or your processing or however it is. If you hang your herbs upside down to dry in your dining room so that you can have dried herbs over the wintertime, that didn't go very far. And you probably didn't get a whole lot of heavy metals in there in that process. So it just cuts down on the many, many middlemen that are involved in getting an herb or a spice from China to your kitchen. and it's just safer from contamination if you grow it yourself. Lastly, I just want to mention that that article listed a whole bunch of different herbs and spices and which one, like where they rank in terms of safe to not safe. And the worst ones, the ones that had the highest levels of heavy metals and were the most contaminated, were ginger, turmeric, basil, oregano, and thyme. And so I'm in my garden here, and behind me this is my herb bed, and here I've got oregano, I've got basil back there. You can't see it very well, but I have dill, I have thyme, I have sage, and then elsewhere on the property I have mint and I have chamomile. And so I do try and grow a few of my own herbs, but I've got the basil, the oregano, and the thyme here in my garden being grown organically. I know exactly what's going into it, again, aside from rainwater, and I filled this bed with bags of soil, but I have since amended it with my own compost and whatnot. So I know that my beds are in better shape than something being conventionally grown elsewhere. I just know more about it. I know more about what's going into it. So it makes me feel a lot better to know that at least those are being checked off the list. I grow them in abundance. I preserve a lot of them. I dry them so that I can have them over the winter time. I eat them fresh during the summertime. And so that's just one area in my diet where I have cut down on heavy metal, pesticide use, contamination of any kind. And I've taken that control back into my own hands. And it's, like I said in the beginning, it saves me money. I'm not having to buy these things at the store, yada yada, all of the normal reasons. But I just wanted to come here quickly and mention to you guys, hey, along with all of the reasons that you are already aware of why you should grow your own herbs, the herbs and spices that you are buying at the grocery store are likely contaminated with lead, arsenic, and or cadmium. Great. Yum. No, thank you. And I also don't like the fact that there's not very strict regulation on this. The labeling can be very loosey-goosey, and there's no way for you to track it back to where it actually came from, even down to just the country. I can't even figure out in many cases what country it came from, let alone specifically where, how it was handled, what rules that place was following in the growing and handling of it, all of that nastiness. I will have, like I said, this article linked down in the description. I urge you to actually just take a look at it yourself because there was a lot of really great information in that article that I didn't mention in this video. Do some research, see if this is something that you care about, and if it is, go ahead and make the move. Basil and oregano especially are so easy to grow. Stick them in a pot, stick them in your windowsill, remember to water them a couple times a week, and you will have basil and oregano so yummy and so delicious going in your food. And yeah, that would be my recommendation. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for listening, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Have faith and keep moving forward. Bye.